My transition from being a clinical medical doctor to being an entrepreneur and a CEO was about a 7-year journey, and it was a tortuous path, quite circuitous. It wasn't straight, and it didn't go how I wanted it to go. When I decided to make the transition from clinical medicine to the business side of medicine, I thought, I'll just get this perfect job because everyone's going to see that I really want to do this, that I have translatable skills, that I can do it. But that wasn't the reality. I didn't have the business acumen or the experience. And the thought of being an intern again after going through surgical training didn't seem palatable at all. I just couldn't imagine starting over. But in truth, I did have to start over. So nothing happened the way that I wanted it to. But at the end of the day, I landed where I intended to land. So I'll put it that way. I moved from Palo Alto to Atlanta. 3 months later, I started at Emory Business School, and it was the beginning of the recession, but nobody knew that. It was beginning of 2008, and nothing happened as I thought it would. Before I finished business school, I was pregnant with my son, and so I gave birth to my son 6 months after graduating business school, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a year. And as I'm a stay-at-home mom, I had been career-oriented my entire life. I'd never had children before, so I was a first-time mom. I was 38, and I thought I'd wasted my time and money going to medical school and business school to be a stay-at-home mom, not really honoring that I had the time that many women don't get to have with their child. And so I nursed my son for a year, and I was at home with him. And when he went off to a preparatory school, I worked from home. And so again, this was not part of the plan at all. I didn't know if I ever would have children at that point in my life, and it wasn't part of the plan. I'll just say that it wasn't part of the plan. But now I had to maneuver around this new family situation. And so my son and I are very close. We had our significant bonding, so that all worked out. So it's not that it was a regrettable kind of thing, but it wasn't the straight career path that I had been on or I had envisioned for myself. And so once my son went away to school, I had some hours in the day where I worked doing similar type of healthcare work, looking at healthcare companies, looking at how they would commercialize and go to market. So it was a perspective or a side of kind of healthcare companies. And I worked on a contract, an NIH contract, looking at these companies for about 6 months. And when that contract ended, I had started a company. I worked on that company for 3.5 years and got a patent for a automated payer system that I had created over the 3 years with the help of a number of team members. I had pitched all around the country, trying to raise capital. I'd gone through an accelerator for women-led high-growth companies. I'd been invited to Paris, France to pitch my new innovative payer system to an international healthcare audience. And so I thought, I'm really onto something, and this is really going to take off. And it did not. And, I really went through that roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship. I think at the end of the day, it's not the success or their lack of that matters. It's the journey, because it takes you through highs and lows that I had not experienced, and it really challenges you to see yourself and to learn something new, and to really look at going into an industry in a different way, and breaking into a market with a new type of product when sometimes the market isn't ready or sometimes you're not ready. And so it's a journey and it's a path, and it's not always fun, but it's worthwhile. And after all of that, I ended up getting recruited into the healthcare investment job that I set out to do 7 years earlier, just because I'd had those experiences. So it's not always a straight path, and you can't always see the end or the end result, but really what is important is the journey. And if you're not careful, you'll learn a great deal on that journey.